Okay, everyone that is joining us at this time. We're about 2 minutes out from the official start. I'm your host, Edward James with Bidexecs, and we have a great webinar today for you. I'm going to go ahead and do some housekeeping duties prior to the 11 a.m. Eastern prompt start time. Something that me and Chris share in common is that us Marines, we're a little bit as far as likes to be prompt. So I want to get things started with some housekeeping duties. On the housekeeping side, if you would please, utilize the chat box to network with other companies and network amongst yourselves to get to know each other and all that wonderful stuff. So, input your information on the chat box. If you have a question that you didn't submit prior to the webinar, please feel free to put your questions inside of the Q&A box, and we will try to get to as many of those questions as possible. We will also try to answer any questions that maybe we didn't answer prior to the webinar. We'll get that answer to you during this webinar, time permitted. We have two really good speakers on today. The first of which is Chris Rabasi, and I'm going to also go off screen here. Chris has been with the Small Business Professional for Marine Corps Installations East since October of 2020. His responsibilities include ensuring compliance with all applicable small business regulations, and assisting small businesses how to be eligible and competitive for Department of Defense contracts. Prior to October 2020, he was the contracting officer and contract specialist, both as a civilian and active duty Marine. He served for 26 years in the Marine Corps from 1989 to 2015 in the fields of supply, logistics, and contracting. We also have a very special guest as well that's going to be really answering a lot of your questions on today's call. And this is Donna Mason. Donna is a contracting specialist with Naval Facilities Mid-Atlantic. Again, a lot of your questions that you've submitted so far have really been directed over at Donna. So she's going to be doing quite a bit of talking on today's webinar. Well, especially when it comes to answering a lot of the questions. And again, I want to say thank you all for joining us today for today's webinar. Chris, Donna, if you would please come on screen here for a moment, and then we will, I will actually go over and get your deck and everything, and we'll start the webinar as far as feeding people information and the educational piece. So, Chris, I would like to introduce you first. If you would, please introduce yourself.
Good morning. And as you can see, I've got more of a face for radio than webinar, so I'll be turning off the video here shortly to save bandwidth as well. Thank you, Ed, for the introduction. I'm going to go through things fairly quickly because your questions matter to us more than us talking to you. So, but I will say this, we understand what businesses go through. In fact, I'll tell you how much I understand what businesses go through and why it's important and challenging to get a hold of the right government person. This morning I was trying to get some service done on my car, and I got bounced around to 5 different people, and all I wanted to do was make a service call. So, those of us in government do understand the frustration that businesses get being running around from time to time as well. And before I keep talking, can somebody give me a thumbs up that they can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Thanks, Ed. So that's just my personal experience with being run around. So hopefully we'll at least give you some peace of mind that you have some folks now that'll pick up the phone and talk to you and answer emails in government. Couple very important points I want to make. If you're a woman-owned small business, you have to be certified by the Small Business Administration in the dynamic search profile. We've had on our side of the house, and let me real quick tell, well, on our side of the house, we've had 2 requirements this week that we cannot make award to for women-owned small businesses because they were not properly certified by the SBA. So it is very important if you're a woman-owned and soon to be veteran-owned and service disabled owned as of 1 January of 2024, you must be certified by the Small Business Administration. Don't say, well, I'm registered in SAM, so I'm good. You're not. And then if you think you've submitted an application to the SBA, make sure you have that confirmation email from the SBA that they've received your application. Because if they've done that at least, then there is a way we can go in and work on expedited certification. Okay, talked about that.
Okay.
Beyond that, I'll slow down for a little bit here so y'all understand the office I work with. I work with the Regional Contracting Office at Marine Corps Installations East. We procure all supplies and services. So think of it as a small city or a college campus. Those are the things we procure. What we don't do is construction. And that's why Don is here, because not just being funny and say, call Donna and don't call me anymore. You're always welcome to call me because the fundamentals of contracting, the things you need to become eligible are all the same, where you're doing construction or whether you're doing just regular DoD contracts. But there are some specific requirements within construction. And most importantly, Naval Facilities Engineering Systems Command is the one with the contract authority to do that. So what you all need to understand is, yeah, a contract, it's the contract authority that matters beyond just people buying things on contract. So with that said, I'm going to pause for any questions or comments.
Okay.
Ed, is there anything in the chat?
No, no questions at this time. If we could, let's go over and get Donna to also introduce herself, and if there's some things that she may see currently that is occurring as far as on her side of the house, as far as the construction. Donna?
Okay, everybody. I'm here. I can't enable my video because it says that I'm disabled. The host has disabled me, so I'm here on voice. So I am part of the NAFAC facilities, and we handle any kind of construction. We also do some services. We do not buy products. So if you have any kind of product, we do not buy that. That would be the Marine Corps side. Oh, hold on. I think I can start now. There we go. See if anybody can see me. If you guys
Yes, we can. We can see you.
Okay, perfect. And so what happens is we have MACs set up, which are multiple awards. And we have we have roads and paving, we have a mechanical, we have some other ones. I'm not going to go get so much into those, but we already have those set up, and they're set up for 5 years, and they have multiple contractors under them. So anybody that's looking to get into the construction side, you could reach out to me. I can give you that list. You can reach out to the current contractors that we have, and they will give you subcontracting opportunities. And then I always tell people to make sure that you keep on SAM.gov, because anytime that we are going to post a MAC, we put it out there. So then anybody, once those are posted out there, can actually put a package together and compete for the MACs. But I also part-time the small business person for NAFAC. So any kind of small business questions that you have, if I can't answer them, I can point you in the direction of the person that can. Again, I look forward to talking to you guys. Thank you.
Okay. And I want to add in here, I just got one in the open questions from Eric Wilmer, which is to please supply contact information for Chris and Donna. That information will be provided after the webinar. You will receive a final email as far as a thank you email, which will include as far as contact information of all myself as well, and also Chris and Donna. So hopefully that right there takes care of that part. Yes, everyone will be receiving a final deck as far as with Q&As and everything answered. Thank you, Eric, for that question. So let's get started as far as when it comes to the actual information and everything that you all are going to be talking about today. Hopefully you do see on the screen as far as the first deck is, which is the Marine Corps Installation East and Naval Facilities Engineering Systems Command. Are we a go?
We are a go.
All right, I'm going to go off screen again to conserve this bandwidth. And there you go, Chris.
Okay. Yeah, so this slide here is kind of an eye chart, but it gets down to what we were talking about, the challenges that we all understand on the government side that you face as a business. You know, ultimately, you're trying to get a contract award. And, you know, for my mission statement, for my elevator pitch, I say eligible and competitive. I don't say when. I don't say when because in my mind, it makes you feel like, hey, I got some kind of inside information or some secret that's going to help you win. Well, the secret is you have to be eligible and you got to be competitive. Like Donna said, you got to be registered in the system for award management. You got to keep that thing current. We've run into situations where we were trying to do an option year contract and we almost couldn't because the business wasn't, their SAM registration had expired. The other part of being eligible, like I beat to death in my intro, if you're a woman-owned or service disabled, veteran-owned, any category of woman-owned, you have to be certified by the SBA. And that's in a whole separate website, the Small Business Dynamic Search. And then the other part of being eligible, you want to get paid, you have to be registered in the wide area workflow fit system for invoicing. So that's very important as well, too. So that's the part of being eligible. You know, back to the slide here, you all fully get it. You know, all your businesses have the normal laws, OSHA, health and safety, whatever rules you have to follow for whatever company you're in. So you got all those regulations, but then you have the federal acquisition regulations, the defense federal acquisition regulations, the FAR, the DFAR, you got to worry about and understand those things. Well, those folks in green over there, myself, Donna, Chambers of Commerce, the Apex accelerators, which used to be procurement technical assistance centers. There's some veteran business groups, community colleges. There's a lot of free resources out there available to y'all to help you become not only eligible, you not only get registered in those websites I talked about, but also to help you be competitive. And, you know, even companies like Bidexecs here, that's what they do too. That's what we're doing right now, is giving you information so that you can become competitive and understand what competitive means. And what is competitive? If you're a service, if you're providing services, it's actually quite simple. Understand what the performance work statement is asking for, and then make sure you align the tasks properly within that performance work statement to what your company can do. You want to be quantitative in your response over qualitative, and you just need to read the entire performance work statement, because I've seen businesses where it was very clear what we were asking for in the performance work statement, and they completely missed it. And where that was because they were the incumbent and they thought they were going to get the contract anyway, or if they just weren't paying attention, that's fine. Now, the government isn't perfect. We have a requirement right now that we have 11 pages worth of questions on. So, the government, we have to tighten our own work up too when we're articulating what we need from industry as well too. My last point on being eligible, I skipped over it. If you're not familiar with the small business dynamic search engine, that is what a lot of contracting officers use to do their market research. Within that function, you can put in your company's capability statement. What you want to make it a habit of no longer doing, if you are doing this, we don't need your company history in there. We don't need to know how much you love to support war fighters and things of that nature. We need to know exactly what your company does. And who's the we I'm talking about? The contract specialists. The contract specialists, if you're a battery replacement company, then say that. Don't say we were founded in 1997 and we have a board of 15 former military people. That's all great things for your website, but in that dynamic search profile, you want to make sure that it clearly states the supplier service your company is providing. Because this time of year, I'll tell you, the contract specialists we have on our teams right now, we got about 20 of them right now. Each one of them has about 5 to 10 requirements on their desk right now. So they don't have the time to be figuring out what your company does or doesn't do. So be very clear on that. Any questions at this point?
Okay, Chris, we have one question from Mochter, and let me see here. It says, does the webinar concern accounting services, risk management services, and business advisory services? Mochter, I believe that we'll give you an answer to that as far as offline after the webinar, and we'll get back with you on that question. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, this is just a quick overview of Marine Corps Installations East. So we have 3 locations here in North Carolina. We have Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune. We have Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point. We have Marine Corps Air Station New River. And then we have Marine Corps Logistics Base Albany, Georgia, Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort, South Carolina, and then Blount Island Command in Jacksonville, Florida. So that's what Marine Corps Installations East looks like. And again, all those bases have supply and services need. They also have construction needs, which I'm going to transition to Donna here at this point, because I think I've said enough on the fundamental side of things about being eligible and competitive. So I wanted to give Donna some time to speak as well, just from some specifics on the construction side of things.
Okay. So I know the Marine Corps Installation East covers a lot more than what NAVFAC covers. We only cover Camp Lejeune and New River. Cherry Point has their own office, so they do their own over there with NAVFAC. So currently, who you're speaking with, NAVFAC representative, we only do Lejeune and New River. And then again, as we said, we don't buy specific parts of the contract. It comes as a whole entire package through Public Works, and we get the package and we solicit to our max, and then they subcontract out. So again, if you're interested in that, you can just get up with me and I'll give you their contact information. All right, Chris.
Thanks, Don. I forgot to mention that Donna and I worked together for a while too. I consider her a very good friend and contracting officer as well too. So yeah, you're talking to a good person there when you're talking to Donna.
So Chris, we have a question.
Sure.
From another Chris O'Connell. Where do they find the information as far as online, as far as if it's actually available online for whatever those needs be, whether it's on the supply side or if it's on the construction side?
Okay, so if I answer the question if I understand the question properly, it's how do we find requirements? Is that essentially the question?
I would say yes.
Okay. So the first thing you want to do, I typed it in the chat. This is a new website, www.business.defense.gov. That website will give you access to all the federal agencies' long-range forecasts. So by the DFARS, I believe, all agencies are required to publish twice a year their requirements. Now, those requirements are going to be mostly service contracts, but it'll give you good detailed information on what each agency is buying and what those contracts are that are currently in place and when they're going to expire. So first thing you want to look for is those long range forecasts by agency, by whatever agency you want to work. That'll also give you insight into what the government's actually buying. So long range forecast number one. Number two is, well, it's number two is multiple things, but number two is you got to monitor the government points of entry. Donna and I have both mentioned the system for award management. Contract opportunities is a selection in there. You can go see what the government is. That's where you can see the actual solicitations, sources sought, requests for information. That's where the government is posting actual requirements for proposal, or at least for feedback in the terms of request for information and sources sought. Beyond that, there's also the Government Services Administration. If you're a GSA contract holder, you want to go out to GSA.gov to look at see proposals there. Or if you're an IT vendor, you want to go out to NASA SEWP, NASA SEWP. And I'll provide that website in the follow-up email to this meeting, or actually I could type it in here in a second.
Okay.
And that is for IT focus. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. I didn't mean to cut you off there. If you would also reemphasize as far as something in which I'm getting quite a few questions on, and that is that you mentioned that if you're a woman-owned business, you have to set up with the SBA. And yes, the question in here is also added in here, is that the same case for all minority groups? So I understand that come out effectively January the 1st, that whether you're veteran-owned, just all the different affinity groups, that they have to be certified within the SBA, correct?
Okay, good question. At this time, it is all woman categories. So economically disadvantaged, straight woman owned. If you are any of the woman owned categories, then yes, you have to be certified by the SBA. And then for and then for all the veteran owned categories, veteran owned and service disabled, you have to be certified by the SBA as well too. And all that information is out on the SBA website. SBA.gov has all the specifics on that.
Thank you.
Okay. I know we only got about 8 minutes left, correct, Ed?
No, we've got we're good. We got another 38 minutes.
Oh, okay, good. I don't know why. Okay. Not enough coffee this morning. What other questions do we have?
I'll answer this over again. Yes, all contact information will be provided after the webinar is concluded. You will be receiving a final email with the deck and our contact information.
And I've typed my information in the chat as well too. And I'm getting ready to put in that NASA SEWP website. That's really nice for IT businesses. Now there's only 2 specific NAICS. And just like the multiple award contracts that Donna talked about, that's what NASA SEWP is too. There's one supply NAICS and one service NAICS for IT businesses, but you can always have subcontract. I shouldn't say always. You may have subcontracting opportunities if you contact some of those existing SEWP MAC holders as well too. Okay. Thanks, Ed. I kind of got ahead of myself with the be eligible, be competitive, but
That's
Um,
good. That's great information.
Yeah.
They need to know that.
So, and if I could, I'm just looking at the people that registered. I just want to quickly go through the list just to talk about capabilities I'm seeing in the right offices you need to be talking to. I think we beat construction to death. Now NAVFAC, like Donna said, has different regions. So if you go out to that business.defense.gov, you'll find the right NAVFAC region that applies to your company. I see some people out there. I've seen electro-optics devices, lasers, uh, unmanned aerial vehicles, both aerial, ground. That's all Marine Corps Systems Command. Again, I'll provide you with contact information for that. But MarCorps Syscom is primarily the organization that would procure principal end items. Yeah, I'm looking at some drone systems here. Yeah, that's all Marine Corps Systems Command. Going down the list here. I'm just going through the chat. See some cyber company. Yep, there's the laser one. General supplies. Yeah. So again, you want to ask the question when you're seeking out a small business, a government small business professional or a contracting officer is, well, what authority does this apply to? And if you're not sure, you're welcome to contact myself or Donna, and we'll get you the right people as well too. I'm going to pause for any questions.
Okay, we have a couple of questions. One, yes, we will confirm the small business dynamics search profile link. So, Chris, if you would put that link inside of the, I guess, put it over in the chat box along with your information. And we have another one from Bernard Shaw, which is, let me see, I'm gonna read this correctly. Can you confirm or deny if there is a percentage in each MAC/MATOC set aside for hub zone entities? Well, Bernard, I think that's going to be one of those questions that we're going to have to refer offline as far as whether we can confirm or deny if there is a percentage in each MAC/MATOC set aside for hub zone entities.
I mean, I can answer that right now.
Okay.
It really depends on how we go out, like what our market research says at that specific time. Because we're going in cycles. So we're going in every 5 years. So when we reach out and say who can provide this service, it's really going to depend on who at that time can provide the service and how we go out, whether it be hub zone, 8A, small business, service disability, like women owned. It just depends on the current trends on how the cycles are going. So we don't have a specific percentage that we go out for. It's just dependent on what the current market is stating that we should procure the service. Does that answer your question, Bernard?
All right. Looking to see if he responds. Hopefully, Bernard, that answers your question. Again, we will have all our contact information after the webinar for any additional questions, especially follow-up questions. Let's refocus. But thank you on that, Donna. So, Chris, if you would, let's go back over here and refocus on the acquisition process, which is up on your screen. Speak to us about that piece.
Okay. Yeah. As far as to be eligible, again, these are all things we cover, but trust me, we need to hear more because we have businesses all the time whose SAM registration expires. That's something that you need to renew annually. Again, making sure that you're registered with the or certified by the SBA properly if you're any woman-owned category, any veteran-owned. Yeah, present your business effectively. Okay, so your website, your one-page capability statement, your elevator pitch, your dynamic search profile, your event booth. I mean, that all flows together. And I look at it more like well, here's the reality. When you're doing business with the government, it's not a sales call. It's more of a resume. It's more of you're presenting your company in terms of its ability to provide a supplier service. Because the government's going to determine what we need or don't need. So if you look at it more like a job interview than a sales call, I think you're going to go a lot further and have a lot more success with that. And again, your company website, you can put whatever you want to out there. When the company was founded, how much you love America, serving the government, all that. You put whatever you want to out there. But as you get in your capability statement, your elevator pitch, your dynamic search, you really got to get in the weeds and say exactly what your company does. Event booth. I went to 11 in-person events this year. All of them had flag admirals or general officers from all the services. And everybody wants to get in front of generals and admirals, which we'll talk about in a minute on how effective that is or isn't when you're doing things. But what I want to talk about first is event booth conduct. And okay, I'm going to not scold or lecture here. I'm just going to say this, and I think you all have experienced this. It costs a lot of money to go to an in-person event. I mean, several $1,000s, even for ones that aren't that expensive. Please put somebody in the booth that's properly trained and that has a positive attitude. I walked up to a booth and I have my name badge. It says government on it. You all want to speak to the government. I walked up to booths. I'm talking modern day Marine and some other very large national events. And the people in the booth, some of them gave me a dirty look, like I was annoying them. And I didn't even say anything to them. I just walked up to the booth, looking at their literature, and they were on their phone or on their computer. Or if I did ask a question, they couldn't even answer the question because they just found out the day prior they had to sit in the booth. It's all on you if you're going to spend thousands of dollars to send people out to these booth events. But if you're going to do it, send the right people, because that goes back to resume. If you're going to, if a company's going to present themselves in a negative way to the government, you're already losing us there. So anybody, before I keep going with that, because I mentioned the generals and admirals piece, any comments or thoughts on that? Ed, you got anything you want to jump on that one with?
I think you pretty much hit that one on the head. Of course, we participate in quite a few events across the country as well, and that is a major piece of really positioning your company to win some of the especially if you're going to be right there talking to the right people, is to have the right people as far as that can actually speak to what it is your business does, and I guess if you want to say have some want to as far as that they want to be there, and not just I think you pretty much hit it dead on the head, and I understand exactly what you mean, and same thing has happened to me as well, and they never know who you actually have brought up to the booth to them. So anyway, that's a good one to emphasize. I want to ask Donna about the be competitive piece, especially on the construction side, which I still got it up on the screen. Donna, is there anything that you'd like to add into that as far as what you see from your position as a contracting specialist?
As far as being competitive, I just say read the whole entire packet. You will get a lot of contractors that say that they're capable of doing the job. They've done multiple jobs like this, then you get the package and the whole entire package is not complete. Well, if you can't complete the full package, then how is the government able to say that you can complete the whole entire job? So just make sure that you read the package and everything that the contracting officer and contracting specialists are asking that you include in the package. Make sure that you include it in the package.
And you know, and leading on to that piece, a little deeper into that, Donna. So, in your role, what do you do in those scenarios where you receive an incomplete package?
It depends on it. Well, it depends on how many packages that we receive for the requirement. So let's just say there was a question that was just asked about like how do we determine whether we go out. So I'm going to answer this too, kind of with this. Um, we when we first get a package, we send it out for sources sought. We put it on sam.gov. That's why that website is so important to go out there and to check. Because if you think, oh, okay, I can do this, well, then put in your capability statement, and then we'll let you know like when we're going to solicit for it. But that's how we determine that we go out. So say that we get 5 responses from our sources sought, and we get 3 that are women owned and 2 that are small business owned. Well, we're going to go women owned because we have more women owned people that are capable of doing the requirements. So that makes it more competitive. So then we put it out there for women owned. We get 10 packages that are complete. They can all do it. We do a board. We do a source selection board. And then all of those packages are given to someone else, another contract specialist, a small business professional. And they're stating how competitive each package is. So let's just say, okay, one person didn't turn in, there's 3 past performances. Okay, so they're not 100% on the scale, they might be 75% on that scale. And then dependent where they lie, so that's 25% that you got ticked off because you didn't put 3 past performances. Might hurt you in the long run because there might be someone that is their package was complete.
More complete.
Yeah. So that's what I just say. Like, just make sure, because sometimes it's not about the cheapest person. We're going who is more capable and who's going to do the best work. Sometimes they do lowest acceptable. So as long as they're found acceptable and they turned in everything and they are the lowest, then they would be the person that gets the bid. It's so dependent on so many factors. So I can't really tie it down to just one specific one. You just want the contractor to do the best that they can and just make sure that everything is done.
Okay. I got a question from a Tim Moore. Does architectural and engineering professional services fall under the construction services?
It does. It's actually a different it's like a little side of its own. We have an A&E branch, and we have one contract specialist and contracts person for that. So if you have any questions towards that, you could just shoot them to me and I'll get you the answers for those.
Okay. And I'll mention again to everyone that is on the call, you will be receiving, as far as the contact information of Donna and also of Chris. Understand they are also very, very busy, but they are really prompt as far as getting back answers to questions, especially to those that, you know, attend these webinars. I'm looking to see if there's some other pertinent questions that I need to get over to you. Don't see anything that's pertinent for right now. So is there anything, I'm trying to also use our time here diligently. Let me see here. Yeah, in fact, that was the last slide. So let's refocus on some of the questions maybe that we had earlier, as far as from the, what I'll do, it also so stop sharing. So Chris, were there some questions that you saw initially that you would like to answer on the call here?
Let me take a look real quick. I did want to round out my comment on interaction with general officers and flag officers at these in-person events. You know, it's expectation management. Understand that they're going to talk to you. They're going to be cordial. They're going to listen to what you have to say about your company. And then more times than not, the right thing to do is they're going to come back with that capability and say, hey, you know, is this something we're looking at or something we need? You know, in very rare cases, you know, you're not going to get a contract on the spot, is what I'm saying. So I just wanted to hit that. I was looking through, I see some transportation companies out there. There's a process for becoming eligible for transportation specific contracts. You have to register with U.S. Transportation Command. If you're moving household goods, there's a new global household moving contract out there. I can provide that information to you. And I'm going through the spreadsheet right now.
Okay.
I see one for video film production. So if you're in that industry where you're doing audio visual, film, advertising, things of that nature, understand that we do have our own organic capability to a point. That does not mean that we don't go for advertising, because like the ads you see on TV, all the high-speed ones with Marines fighting dragons and hitting the beach and all that, yeah, those were contracts done. So those are normally done through the services recruiting commands. So that's the offices you want to look for things like that. Still going through and looking here.
I got a question from Louise Collier. Would joint venture firms be allowed to bid? I guess that would be more directed at you, Donna.
Yes, that's me. So if it says in the solicitation that joint ventures are accepted, then yes. There's certain ones that they are not able to bid. Just make sure that you read that closely. And then also someone just posted a question about how hard it is to get 3 past performances. I understand that, and we're not stating you have to have 3. If you don't have 3 for that particular one and you only have 1 past performance, that is completely fine. That will not be held against you. Just don't put in 3 past performances of stuff that doesn't completely pertain to what job you're trying to get. So if you're trying to work on construction, electrician, and you put that you mop the floors of 3 businesses, just make sure that it pertains to what you want to do. And if you only have 1 past performance, then make that known, like in your capability statement, providing 1 past performance, because that's all we have for this particular procurement.
Okay. Go ahead, Chris. Was there something? Oh,
no.
I have a question here. This from a Jason Farr. It says that we are an 8A. How do we receive more interest in negotiated contracts?
So for that company, you know, we'd have to look at the capability first. And I'll tell you, just in legislation, I mean, the 8A program's got all kinds of stuff going on now with some current legislation and policy changes going on. So, I mean, I know you all hear this all the time. It all starts with the requirement. So once we know what your company's capabilities are, if we have a requirement, if it aligns, then we can go from there. I know that's not the best answer to the question, but that's the answer.
Okay. And this one, I believe, is going to be more over on the Donna side. Does most of your past main contractors turn over the telecom services entirely to the electrical contractor?
I'm trying to understand that. I mean, I don't I don't
Right.
know. I don't,
Okay.
it depends on each project.
Each
So
each
if
project.
the, yeah, if the actual specification says that before electricity is put in, that it's turned over to the electrical contractor, then yes. Um, it's just basic upon what specs are written into the contract.
Okay. And I think the simple question to Evelyn asked about transportation. Let me see. 3PL logistics special transportation and warehousing. Is this a commodity that is sought out by the DoD? I think that's quite simple answer is yes. Consider it, if you were here earlier, Evelyn, consider each of the facilities and what Chris does on his side of the house, the supply side, as a city, and all the needs that are needed within that city. They do sought out as far as to provide those services for that city. So again, Chris, if you would, in fact, I can actually be able to yield some time back to everyone. And I know that this is a busy time of the year as far as closing out the year. Chris, is there any additional information that I would like for both of you, to come back on screen and things that you're seeing right now that is really relevant as far as for small businesses? And yes, this is the end of this year, but as we get things ramped up going into the new year, is there any parting information that you would like to get out there for folks to really, take advantage of? Go ahead, Chris.
Okay. I was gonna let that. Okay, so we've said a lot already, but it's worth repeating because it happens a lot. Make sure you know all the certifications, SAM, dynamic search, things of that nature. Make sure you read everything, like Donna said. Make sure you respond on time. We have an issue right now where a business didn't respond to a proposal on time and they're frustrated because they should have been considered or they think they should have been considered. So make sure you respond. If the solicitation closes at noon on the 24th of August, then respond. And I don't understand why businesses wait till the last minute. I don't understand. I think somebody explained it to me, but it doesn't make any sense. If we put a solicitation on the 1st of August and you can propose on the 2nd of August, then propose on the 2nd of August. There's no, if you wait till the last minute, you're going to miss it. You see how IT works, it doesn't work sometimes. So don't wait till the last minute. Because in fact, when you wait till the last minute, you're losing the opportunity to ask questions of the government as well, too. So the earlier that you review and propose, you can ask questions if you're confused on what we're asking for. Last thing on events, there's events going on all over the country. I bet there's 100 more events going on right now. So, the fear of missing out, sure. At every single one of those events, there's probably one person that's going to help your business. But the reality is you can't be at all those events physically, financially, you just can't. So you got to look for these organizations and figure out what works best for your company, and don't worry about missing out because you're going to miss out because there's no way you can be it. So that's all I got for my end.
Okay. Well, I have some couple of questions here. One, did you provide there's a question about the link for the small business dynamic search engine profile. I don't know if you've put that inside the chat box or not, but we will be providing as far as that link. So that's for Richard McWhorter. And then I have a couple of that are really, I think, pertinent questions. One is being on the dawn alerts enough, or how to get, or how do we get lets from you? I don't know if I'm reading that question right. Gladys, we'll get, I don't know, am I reading that question correctly, Chris? It's being on the dawn alerts enough.
I'm not even familiar with what Don Alerts is. I don't know if that's GovWin or Fed
Okay.
Tribe and things like that. Uh,
Okay. Well, I think we're going to go back to your very first slide when we started this whole discussion, which we have a question from a Julian that says, hey, can we please point out a resource that I can read, study, or to help me understand SAM.gov better? Because they feel a little lost on the site and they understand that it's very important, but but they just, again, they feel lost on that site. I think that goes back to when you were talking about Apex. Okay. Apex, and also Julian, this is where Bidexecs comes in as well, but there are a lot of resources out there to help you better understand SAM.gov. Including someone from our organization reaching out to you and having a discussion and actually going step by step as far as understanding that system. And again, I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. And again, Chris and Donna, this is so greatly appreciated. How does one connect with the service recruiting commands? Well, I think this would be another one that we'll handle offline as far as for video production. Those, as far as things of that nature, we'll actually do a follow-up with these individuals. Outside of that, Donna, if you would please, if you want to rejoin us on screen and give us some parting words, some parting nuggets of wisdom, it would greatly be appreciated.
Okay, yes. I'm just gonna kind of, Chris hit a lot of great points. I'm just gonna hit the last parts. I know it can be kind of discouraging. People say all the time, I try and I try and I try and I never get a government contract. I always say keep trying because you never know when you're gonna be able to get in there. And just because you get in there doesn't mean you're gonna stay in there. Like you always have to cross your T's and dot your I's. One thing that contractors can do is like after a contract is done and you didn't get it, you can ask for a debrief. Like basically that's saying like, how can I make my package better? And I always say ask for that because that's going to tell you, okay, so everything was there except for your price because it was the lowest price technically acceptable. Then you kind of know like where you sit. And that helps a lot of businesses out. And then again, also like reach out to us. Right now is a really busy time, so I can't say that I'm going to get back to you within like 24 hours. It might be a month after September the 30th, but we will always get back with you. You want to send your capability statement? That's fine. You can send that. We put it in a file just in case like we need that type of service. We know that we can go to you and you're a small business. And again, if you guys have any questions, just reach out to us. And thanks for spending some time with us.
All right. Again, this is such an honor again. And I want to say again to all those that are registered to attend, you will be receiving as far as a deck and a link to this webinar as well as information from this webinar. You will be receiving those to the email that you provided when you registered. Chris, again, it is such an honor. Donna, again, it is such an honor, partaking, these webinars and giving folks the information that is needed out there. I want to say again to everyone, thank you for joining us today for Bidexecs webinar doing business with the United States Marine Corps Installations East. We'll be doing some follow-ups and everything with everyone, and we will also be conducting additional webinars as far as on information and everything that everyone needs. Thank you again, Chris, Donna, thank you. And you all have a wonderful and safe, those of you that are out there on that East Coast, our prayers go out to you, especially in Florida and all the way up that coast as far as this weather. Be safe, and thank you all again for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.